So today is going to be a very exciting video because my favorite dating show is back. Hello, today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about Transit Love in spirit of Transit Love spinoff coming out and Transit Love season 4 coming out sometime later this year. So if you want to watch one of these things and you don't really want to watch the entire season, yeah, I'm just gonna keep you up to speed. So first off, the show is called Transit Love. It also has the English name of Exchange, like literally X change, which I think is also funny. The Korean title is Hyeim-Sangwoo, and it literally translates into transfer love, transit love. And so this show was created by the producer Lee Jin-ju, and she is someone that worked with Young-Suk PD. I think I've mentioned this before, but very, very famous variety producer, Young-Suk. And so she worked with him, and then she eventually went on to create her own show, and the very first one was Hwansung-yeonhae. The concept of the show is pairs of ex-couple live in a house together, and throughout the show they decide whether or not they want to get back with their ex or find new love. So the first 2 seasons were produced by Lee Jin-ju at CJE&M, but then she recently moved over to JTBC, which is why she created this show, My Siblings Romance. And so Transit Love 3 was hemmed by the producer Kim In-ha, who was also responsible for Pink Lie. Not that I watched it. And yeah, I think Kim In-ha is going to be handling seasons 4 as well as the spin-off. Anyways, so far there are 3 seasons, and I'm actually just going to be going through them one by one, and I'm just going to be telling you all the casts and basically just the need to knows, the overall drama of the story, and yeah, just catch you up to speed because these are the potential casts for the spin-off. And one revolutionary thing about the show was the way they edited it. So actually in the initial episodes, it is not revealed who each other's exes are. So part of the fun of the show is guessing which couples are actually exes, and it's a little fun game to do that, which also could explain why my favorite season is my favorite season, because it's the only one that I really got to play this guessing game with. So first, I am going to start by talking about, of course, Transit Love Season 1, and this aired in 2021. For the cast of Season 1, there were a total of 5 couples. Really, there were only 4, and then 1 couple just showed up toward the end. And so the couples are Lee Hae-sun and Yoon Jung-kwon, who dated for 4 months, Kim Bo-hyun and Sun Ho-min, who dated for 3 years, Go Min-young and Lee Joo-hwi, who dated for 4 months, Coco Lee and Kwak Min-jae, who dated for 1 year. And the last one is Jung Hae-im and Lee-Sang-woo, who we didn't even get a timeline for. Overall, in this show, there were basically 2 main plot lines, and they were both love triangles. So for the first one, it's going to be the love triangle with Bohyun and Min-jae and Ho-min. So basically, Bohyun and Ho-min are the long-term couple of the show. They dated for 3 years, and the entire time, Bohyun just wants Ho-min back, basically. And Ho-min is like, even though I still love you, I think we need to move on because that relationship wasn't good for us. They basically broke up because of just like some small arguments eventually that just kept building over time until they broke up over like one small incident. So then eventually Min-jae, who is completely over his ex, is like into Bohyun, and the entire time he's pursuing her, doesn't really like any other girl. He's very clear about his feelings. So Bohyun starts to falter, obviously. And then towards the end, Ho-min is like, hey, I actually like you and I want you back and blah, 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 blah. And so she gets really confused because at this point she's just like, bro, like, why didn't you do this earlier? Yeah, she's just kind of upset with him because she was obviously in love with him, and he was like, no, we can't do this. And then all of a sudden towards the end he's like, wait, I want you. And she's like, no, like, you literally could have done this earlier and saved us so much heartbreak. Like, why are you doing this? So that's like drama number 1. And then drama number 2, which I would say is the main drama and like probably the main characters of the show, is going to be the Minyoung drama. So Minyoung and Juhwi were obviously a couple for 4 months, and both of them kind of have feelings for each other ever since they like started the show. Both kind of want to get back together. And then throughout, Jung-kwon gets interested in Minyoung, and he's just really attractive, really, really great guy. He's like the fan favorite. Like, everyone loves Jung-kwon. He's just so patient, and he's really young, and he's like, despite his age, he's like super mature throughout the entire show.
이렇게 하는 거는 오빠도 잘지만 내가 뭔가 너한테
나 다른 거 없는데? 오빠 내가 다른 거 없지? 좋아하는 그런 거 아니지?
내가 너한테 뭔가
상처받을까 봐.
So basically, Minyoung, obviously, besides Juhwi, she's interested in Jungkwon because he's like a good guy, he's attractive, you know, he's sweet, he's caring, he's always there for her, and he's very like unaggressive, I guess. And so this is the main drama of the show because they are so dramatic. Basically, Juhwi is only ever wants Minyoung from the beginning, so he really wants his ex back. And it gets to a point where he starts to make everyone uncomfortable because they feel bad trying to pursue Minyoung because they're basically a thing. And there's one moment where he and Minyoung are kind of like, I don't know, kind of together again, and then they go into the girl's room and just start like
다들 제가 잠들었다고 생각을 했는데
and the cameras can't quite catch them, or we just don't really see it. Coco says that they were just like giggling and whispering and it was just uncomfortable for her. So that's them. And then this causes the biggest trouble with Haeim and Sangwoo, who come in later, because Sangwoo gets interested in Minyoung, and there's like points where the exes choose stuff for your ex-boyfriend. So Haeim, who is Sangwoo's ex-girlfriend, gets to choose Sangwoo's date, and Sangwoo's obviously interested in Minyoung, and she ends up crying because she feels so bad that Juhwi is going to be angry at her for doing that. The cast members are trying to help Juhwi and like Minyoung's relationship, and it's just silly because you come on the show to like try to get to know new people, and like it's fine if you like your ex, but I feel like turning other people down and just being like a thing to cut it all off is just wrong.
제가 마음에 들었으면 한 번 만나서 어떻게 더 알고 싶으면 두 번 만나고 친해지고 세 번 만나고 친해지고 그래야 오다 익스다가 나오잖아요. 근데 그 순간 그거를 말하면 안 되는 큰일 나는 분위기가 형성됐고 그 압박감을 내 엑스가 떠안게 됐어. 그냥 밥을 먹고 들어왔을 뿐인데 완전 죄 지은 사람처럼 분위기가 좀 됐어요. 건들면 안 되는 사람을 그 형의 행동은 사실 멋있진 않았어요.
So with the end result, Haesan chose Juhwi. Originally, Haesan wanted to get back together with Jungkwon, but he was not very interested, so she started losing feelings for him, and then she started liking Juhwi. She obviously knows that Juhwi doesn't like her like that, but she still chose him. Jungkwon obviously chose Minyoung. He kind of really liked her from the beginning. Haeim, who is the newer girl, she chose Minjae, but obviously Minjae was a lost cause because he was already into Bohyun at this point. Coco also chose Minjae, who was her ex. Coco, throughout the entire show, kind of like tried to meet all these guys. No one was really showing her interest. She wasn't like super interested in anyone, especially because if they didn't reciprocate feelings. Then she started seeing her ex Minjae, who she was the most comfortable with, be really nice to Bohyun, and a part of her start to get interested in him.
처음에는 그냥 문제를 아예 배제하고 그냥 약간 미운 정이 있었던 것 같아요. 그때 이런저런 얘기하고 그 미웠던 감정, 그 아팠던 감정 그런 게 다 사라지면서 그날 이후로는 정말 다르게 민재랑 티격태격도 되고 막 상담도 민재랑 되게 많이 하고 I really don't get it. 보현이한테 하는 것도 너무 예쁜 거예요. 진짜 나 이렇게 매일 좀 가니까 이래서 내가 문제 좋아했지. 제가 싶고 아끼고 고맙고 미안하고 정말 많이 사랑해. 나 여기 조금해.
Sangwoo chose Haeim, his ex. I kind of skipped through the season, but I'm assuming it's because he wasn't really allowed to like go for Minyoung, so he ended up just going with his ex because he didn't really have time to get to know anyone else anyways. So Homin, who is Bohyun's ex, ends up choosing Bohyun, and this was kind of like the big reveal about who would Bohyun choose because she obviously still had feelings for Homin and was getting to know Minjae. Minyoung and Juhwi obviously chose each other. This is no shocker. And Bohyun and Minjae chose each other, and this one was a little bit of a shocker because you might think that Bohyun would have chosen Homin.
나 그래도 지금까지 널 안 좋아해 본 적은 없었어.
And so for the end couples, Bohyun and Minjae did not date post-show. And Minyoung and Juhwi are, from what I know, still dating, and this is the ex-couple. Okay, and then in 2022, Transit Love 2 aired, and this is notoriously known as the best season of the Transit Love series, and it's mainly because of one plotline, so we'll get into that. So for the couples, there are again 5 in this season. But there's a sixth that we'll mention real quick. But for the first couple, there is Haeun and Gyumin, who dated for 6 years and 4 months. There's Nayeon and Heedoo, who dated for 2 years and 7 months. Jisoo and Wonbin, who dated for a year and 4 months. Jiyeon and TaeI, who dated for 6 months. There's Naeon and Hyungyu, who dated for a year. And then there's going to be one couple, Ihyun and Mingi, who dated for a year. That aren't on the show, really. So first up, I guess we can just start with the drama, or not the drama. There's like 3 plot lines, main characters that we have in the show. So first, we're just gonna talk about TaeI. Basically, TaeI and Ihyun kind of hit it off in the very early stages of the show. Like even from the beginning, people thought they were exes because of how good they were hitting it off.
그래가지고 이현 씨가 저 욕하놨다고요. 와서 막 이런 거예요.
진짜요? 약간 MSG 금지.
반말 했어요 안 했어요?
약간 애매하게 연락을 했어요.
But we never got to see this actually happen because Ihyun gets kicked off of the show for breaking the rules, and so she leaves, and turns out her ex was Mingi, and Mingi just voluntarily leaves because his ex is off the show. The rumors are that she was actually dating someone and she went on the show, so you weren't supposed to be dating someone on the show while you were on the show. Obviously, it's a dating show. So TaeI has that little short fling with Ihyun, doesn't work out, poor him. She like leaves within the first 2, but they did have chemistry. We would have liked to see it, but
그만할게요. 그만할게요. 진짜 내가 봤을 때 이거 싸움 많이 지금 지금 너무 시끄럽거든요. 야, 그게 좋다고요. 진짜. 그거는 되게 거야?
아니 내가 맞아 너 틀렸어. 아 엉덩이가 나와. 이게 내가 나 설마 나와.
So rip that. And so for a little bit, I don't know if his love interest is, but he has this plot line with his ex-girlfriend that wants him and he just doesn't really want her. At this point, he does not like anyone and nobody really likes him. He's just kind of chilling while everyone else has this drama. And then our final couple, which is Naeon and Hyungyu, who come in later, like really towards the end. But Naeon and TaeI instantly click.
그냥 다른 연인들 헤어지는 것처럼 헤어졌지.
예를 들면
그냥 뭐 성격 차이 헤어졌지 뭐.
차인 거 아니야?
차였어.
그럴 것 같았어. 너무 말을 안 해주니까.
나와. 어딨어?
네, 까다로운 아이구나. 그럼 다 물어본 것 같아.
뭐지? 아 진짜 미안해. 물어봐 미안해.
아까 대답 안 해줬던 거 다 대답해주면 안 될까? 네, 약간 음식을 별로 안 즐길 것 같이 생겼어요.
저요?
네.
왜요? 저 맛있는 데 얼마나 많이 하는데요?
그래요? 저도 또 맛집 전문가라고요.
제가 왜
그냥 되게 얼굴에
강력하게 생겼어요?
네.
네?
좀 먹는 거 안 먹고 빈속에 커피만 먹을 것 같아.
And he's like a fan favorite, TaeI, because he's really great, considerate, everyone's like friends with him. So yeah, he is just solo Joe, and then Nan comes in and they hit it off, they click. Yeah, that's kind of just the plot line. And then next we have Nayeon and her love triangle drama. So Nayeon and Gyumin hit it off. They're like basically an official thing until her ex Heedoo comes on the show and she just gets thrown into like confusion, and she obviously still likes him. And then it worsens basically because Jiyeon, who is TaeI's ex, finally moves on from TaeI and then goes after Heedoo. This causes a lot of jealousy from Nayeon, and yeah, throughout the show, she and Heedoo are arguing all the time, but it's clear that they still have feelings for each other. Yeah, that's kind of their main plot line. And then there is going to be the Haeun drama, which is the main character of our show, because the entire time she is crying because she wants Gyumin back, but Gyumin doesn't want her back. And basically, she's just having a really hard time until we hit the very final moments of this season, until Hyungyu comes in, and he's just great. He's just there for her. He's patient, he's caring, and he just like shows her this love that she hasn't been receiving from Gyumin. And so yeah, this is when Gyumin starts to falter a little bit. He obviously has this thing with Nayeon going on, but he can't help but getting jealous about Haeun and her new boy.
형규랑 계속 좀 가까이 있고.
너 내 인터뷰 없어? 와.
자잘하게 스킨십 하는 모습이 보이더라고요. 그걸 보면서 계속 기분이 안 좋긴 했어요.
And basically, while we're watching it, it's a matter of like, will she move on? And we're all like waiting and cheering for the Hyungyu and the Haeun couple. And they are also the birth of the iconic Nuna, I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, he just says things about how she's the only one he really saw, so.
지목해도 될까요?
누가 보실래?
이렇게?
이렇게? 이렇게 알아? 민망하겠다. 근데
이거 몰랐어요.
그분 이름 딱 기억나는데 혜은
지민이 형 표정.
너 아무 생각 없잖아.
아이고 좋아.
They were like a drama in real life. So for the end results, Wonbin, he chose Jisoo as ex. He was like really never over her, whereas Jisoo was like not wanting to get back together at all. And she chose Gyumin despite knowing that Gyumin liked Nayeon. Jiyeon also chose Heedoo. I don't know if he faltered a bit. Maybe he did, but I think he ends up telling her that he only ever saw her as like a sister. So rip her. But yeah, he chose her a lot. They like went on a lot of dates because Nayeon and Gyumin had a thing. So I feel like Heedoo and Jiyeon ended up having to go on stuff because Heedoo couldn't be with Nayeon on certain occasions. So there's that. Gyumin chose Nayeon. So yeah, this was a little interesting because after a certain point you might think that he's gonna choose Haeun because he does seem a little like interested in her towards the end especially. But
난 계속해서 너에 대한 그리움이랑 미련이 사라졌는데 나만 너 보고 있더라고 계속. 어떻게 했을 수 있어?
미안.
미안해서 미안하다고 얘기하러 오지.
어제 가려고 했었는데 더 잘해줄 걸 이런 얘기를 하고 싶었는데 어땠어?
그렇게 생각해주고 얘기해주세요.
다행이다.
왜?
얘기할 수 있어가지고.
정말 행복해.
it's a little too late. Nayeon and Heedoo chose each other. Made a lot of sense. Yeah, people don't really like this couple a lot because they argue so much and people just kind of got sick of it.
히두.
수술을 받았다고? 아니 끊어졌어.
질투났어. 너무 힘들어요, 친애들. 나도 희도를 많이 사랑했는데. 내가 표현했을 때 이런 하지 말라.
People think they're a bit of a toxic relationship with her constantly yelling at him and him constantly getting mad at her. But yeah, they bicker a lot throughout the show. And Nan and Tae chose each other.
나 여기 보니까 기분 좋더라.
좀 멋있게 서 있어서 조금 떨렸어요. 표정 좀 풀어주시겠어요?
빨리 안 돼.
They really didn't have other options. Nan didn't really like anyone else and Tae didn't like anyone else either. And he was very straightforward, like, I like Nan, so there's that. And happily ever after, Haeun and Hyungyu chose each other.
7년이라는 세월이 무겁죠.
우리만 기다리니까 이제 갈게.
잘 가. 나아졌네.
당연하지. 이게 몰랐어?
난 몰랐어.
진짜?
응.
왜 몰랐지?
몰랐네.
왜 몰랐지?
잊지 말고. 난 몰랐지.
왜 몰라?
난 모르는 거 있었어.
And so for the end couples, Nan and Tae never dated post-show. Nayeon and Heedoo are still dating, and obviously they're the ex-couple that are staying together. Haeun and Hyungyu are still dating, and they are the first new couple formed from the entire show. On to season 3, and this is the only season I watched while airing, and it was actually the very first season I watched ever, which is also what ignited my love for dating shows. I don't even know dating shows. I think just transit love in general. Transit love, I love this show. It has a special place in my heart. For the couples, we have Lee Hae-won and Cho Hui-hyun, who dated for 5 months, Dahye and Dongjin, who dated for 13 years, Seokyung and Juwon, who dated for 2.5 years, Yujeong and Changjin, who dated for 11 months, Sangjung and Minyoung, who dated for 3 months, Juwon and Kwangtae, who did for 6 months. We are just gonna go right into the main drama, and we're just gonna talk about Juwon and his potential love interest. So Juwon and Seokyung are exes, and he basically wants her back. Like the entire reason he showed up on the show was because he wanted her back. This is the birth of, they have an argument outside.
너 제가 미안해 했잖아. 사실 원다고 안 나왔어. 알잖아. 진짜 안 나왔어. 나는 그냥 여기 와서 너를 잘할 줄 알았어.
Because they broke up because they bicker a lot, and obviously they broke up. One of those stupid reasons couples just kind of like built up anger towards each other, and then it just kind of explodes one day. So yeah, that was them. They broke up over something petty. And basically he's just like, I'm here to get back together with you. And she's just like, no, I can't get back together with you. I've been so hurt. And this is the birth of the specific word choice he uses when they break up, is he says that she's gaslighting him. And so she gets really, really insulted that she was called a gaslighter. And then she cries about it some more, and it's just like the gaslighting.
근데 좀 웃겨서 한마디였던 것 같은데.
석영아 너 진짜 못됐다. 너 진짜 나쁘다. 너 이거 나한테 지금 가스라이팅 하는 거야. 이렇게 말을 하더라고요. 그래서 그 말을 그냥 듣자마자 내가 뭘 그렇게 나쁘고 못됐지 생각이 들더라고요. 이거는 아닌 것 같다. 이 말을 들은 이상 난 널 다음부터 못 볼 것 같다.
Anyways, yeah, so she's just like, I can't stop thinking about that. So she is trying to move on. A lot of guys are really interested in her, and he gets jealous. But then Juwon finally decides to move on, and this is when he and Yujeong basically become like the official couple of the show. They are together for like the entire duration until her ex comes into the picture. But basically at this point, Seokyung is kind of like fishing around. This is why people don't really like her a lot, but she's just keeping her options open, and basically, yeah, she doesn't really settle down on anyone until by the end of it, she just wants Joowon back. I think it's when Yujeong and Joowon are getting closer that Seokyung starts to get jealous, and she kind of just starts to want him back, and at this point, he's like, bro, too late now. So then that happens, but then Changjin steps in the picture, and the unbreakable couple of the show breaks down. And then for the main drama, in my opinion, I think this is the main drama, but that's also because I started this dating show for them, and that is the Dongjin and Dahye couple. And so for a little bit of the background, Dahye is an idol. Dongjin was once a idol trainee, and this is how they met. And as I said, they dated for 13 years. So their love story was insane. They met when they were trainees, got kicked out because they were dating.
다혜랑 같은 회사에서 연습을 했었거든요. 근데 거기 안에서는 원래는 같이 연애를 하면 안 되는데 이제 한번 그게 이제 회사 안에서 걸려서 저를 불러가지고 둘 중에 한 명이 나가야 되는데 누가 나갈래? 이렇게 얘기를 하시더라고요. 근데 저한테 그 꿈이 굉장히 소중했었거든요. 근데 제 꿈 못지않게 그 친구의 꿈도 너무 저한테 소중했기 때문에 그게 있던 것 같아요. 제가 나가겠다. 근데 그 친구도 땅 불러서 그 얘기를 했나 봐요. 근데 그 친구도 본인이 나가겠다고 했던 거죠. 그래서 결국엔 둘 다 내보내지고 그때가 제가 얘를 위해서 했던 첫 번째 어떤 그런 포기였던 것 같아요. 제 삶을.
She went on to debut and he did not, and he just kind of became a supporting character in her life, and it reached a point where he felt like he kind of lost himself, and so they broke up. They were really, really fresh from the breakup when they started the show. I think it was around 4 months that they started the show, and so yeah, she really wanted to do the show because she wanted to see him again. She wants to get back with him, and he was like, even he did the same Gyumin thing. He's like, even though I love you, like I can't get back together with you. Woe is me. And so she spends the entire show crying over him, kind of similar to Haeun, until Changjin shows up, and then Dahye and Changjin are basically like together all the time. This gets Yujeong kind of jealous, but at the same time, Changjin has never really showed interest in Dahye romantically. It was more of a like he's interested in Yujeong, and he's just kind of going on dates with Dahye because she's like, I don't know, the best friend he has on the show. So for our end results, Dahye chose Changjin, and this was weird because it was so clear that she was still in love with Dongjin. I think part of her just didn't want him to feel bad because she chose him, so she just chooses Changjin. I mean, I think this was the most random choice of the show. I actually predicted the end results, and this is the only one I got wrong, even though Dahye is my favorite character, so that's that. So Jong-eun, I didn't even get to mention her yet, but she's Kwang Tae's ex. She shows up really late in the show, and by the time she's on the show, nobody's really interested in her. I think they've just already got their own dramas to deal with, so poor girl didn't really get any fighting chance, but she ends up choosing Joowon. Kwang Tae, who is Chong-eun's ex, he chose Seokyung, and he's kind of a funny guy because he was like trying to get with all the girls in the beginning of the show, and so he was a little bit giving player. So Kwang Tae, yeah, at some point was really interested in Seokyung, and then once Seokyung started to get interested in him, he started to be interested in Yujeong, I think. And then after that, Yujeong, he just kept going after Yujeong, and Yujeong was like, no. Yujeong is actually just annoyed with him. She's like not even considering him as an option. She's just very clearly like, no, I like Joowon. So then eventually, after they have a talk, clear things up, he's like, okay. And then he goes back to Seokyung again, which is, okay, so random, but yes. He ends up choosing Seokyung. So Hee-hyun and Haewon, they are ex-couples. She wants him back in the beginning, but he is interested in pursuing other people. He chooses Seokyung for the majority of it, wants to get to know Yujeong. But yeah, towards the end, when he sees Haewon getting along with someone else, he starts to have feelings for her again. So in the end, Hee-hyun chooses Haewon, who is his ex. So Seokyung, remember I said that she was not interested in Joowon. By the end, she starts to get interested in Joowon again. And so she chooses him. Again, this is her ex. Joowon, which was a very shocking thing. I think a part of us thinks that he would have chosen Seokyung, but I kind of could tell he was like, it's a little too late, and so I think he chose Yujeong out of spite a little bit. I think in this season, it really felt like they were going against their feelings and just more about like making this choice, because honestly, I think it's clear that Joowon still has feelings for Seokyung, and he was just kind of choosing Yujeong because he wanted to move on. He wanted to like her. So yeah, Joowon chose Yujeong, but it was no shock that Yujeong and Changjin chose each other. I think the way it edited it, it was pretty shocking that she still had feelings for Changjin, but it's just the little moments throughout that if you could catch it, it's just she's most interested in what Changjin is up to. She gets angry about Changjin. I think the hate, you can only have hate where there's love, so obviously she was still just interested in Changjin, which is why they ended up together. Haewon and Dongjin are such a random couple, but yes, they chose each other. Basically, Haewon had no love interest in the beginning of the show until Dongjin, and what's funny is they literally went on a date earlier in the show but didn't develop feelings, and by the end Low-key, neither one of them had other options because Dongjin was trying things out with Yujeong and Seokyung and things just weren't working. And so he ends up liking Haewon, and Haewon obviously doesn't have anyone else because she was obsessed about Hyehyun, who did not return her feelings. She ends up liking Dongjin as well. And then lastly, the most random couple, Minhyung and Sangjong, chose each other. Sangjong came mid into the show, and also at that point, everyone kind of had paired up already, and low-key, just nobody was really interested in her. And so she was interested in Hyehyun for a bit because they're like the same age and like go to the same school, but he isn't really interested in her because he's really into Seokyung at this point. But Seokyung doesn't really see Hyehyun as like a real partner because he's so young and awkward and shy around her. So Minhyung comes on the show and Sangjong has a really hard time. And basically they're arguing just the entire time. They basically have no other interaction with anyone else. And so yeah, they end up together. So for the end couples, Dongjin and Haewon did not date post-show. I didn't think they would. They were a new couple. Yujeong and Changjin are still dating, and this is an ex-couple that formed. Sangjong and Minhyung are still dating, also another ex-couple formed. And the most interesting thing about this season is after the show, 2 ex-couples got together, and that's going to be Dahye and Dongjin, as well as Seokyung and Juwon, which makes a new record for the show because 4 of the 6 couples are back together, and that is kind of insane. So as I said, I am making this video because the Transit Love spinoff is coming soon.
긴장 반, 설렘 반 이런 느낌이죠.
어떤 사람 만나게 되면 기대가지고
누가 만나겠다. 누가 있을지 궁금했어요. 그래서 넥스가 없어요.
누가 남친이야? 뭐 있을 수도 있는 거죠? 의사긴 남자. 근데 오빠는 알아갈수록 참 좋은 사람. 너랑 시간 좀 보내고 싶다 생각했는데 시간을 보낼 수 있어서 좋았어.
아 이게 100% 우정은 아니구나. 밖에 나가서도 계속 보고 싶어요.
뭐야? 나 여기 이런 거지 말면서 같이 가지고 싶은 생각이 싫어.
의제 뭐라고 볼까?
So basically, this is going to be Exchange, Another Beginning, and this is not to be confused with season 4, which is going to air later this year, they say. But basically, this is just going to follow cast members that I just mentioned from the 3 seasons, just traveling around together, and this is going to air on January 22nd. And the production team said, we started the spinoff with the idea of what it would be like for the cast members to gather together again, showing a candid appearance between their former lover and their new relationship. Please pay a lot of attention to the story to be told at the new travel destination. So my question is this going to feature the new couple as well as one of their exes? And like, is it just going to be like mainly couples? Is it going to be mainly the exes? Like what is going on? And yeah, I think it's kind of awkward for their ex to just kind of be chilling there and third wheeling, but maybe there's like some sort of plot line with the exes getting together or something. I'm not sure if this is going to be romance. I'm not sure if this is just hanging out. Like, what is the plan? Who are the couples? I'm just excited because I like the series. It's my very first dating show. I mean, I've now watched all the seasons. I'm not gonna lie, I skipped through 1 and 2 quite a lot, but I still have a lot of affection for the series, my very first dating show. And I'll be honest that I don't expect as much from this as season 4 because part of the reason I liked Transit Love so much was trying to guess the exes, just watching their little movements, watching their eyes, you know, looking at this editing, like, can I figure it out? So obviously we're not gonna have that with the spinoff because obviously we know all the couples. And so again, season 4 will come out later this year. It's not going to feature any of the cast I just mentioned, but those are like the overall plot lines of what usually happens. It's this whole like, which is what makes it so entertaining, is just this whole, do I want my ex back? Can I actually move on? And yeah, it's really interesting because people can say one thing and then do another. Like, as I told you with most of these plot lines, at some point they were like, I don't want my ex back, and then they want their ex back. And there's people that want their ex back, and then by the end, they no longer want their ex back. So for season 4, we do not have a confirmed air date, but just some things that I would love to see in season 4 is season 3 was great because it's like my very first season, but I still would have liked exes that were more willing to move on. Throughout this season, we have so many people moping for their ex that it gets a little old. And I'm fine with the plot line of they initially don't want their ex and then they later want them back. But pining after your ex for the entire time is a little much. And I also just wish there were more potential couples. So like in season 3, there were very few couples that I even could see formed. Like Dahye was my favorite girl, and literally I saw no chemistry between her and Juwon Kwangdae. Like it just seemed there was no chance of anything. Even with Changjin, I was so happy for her, but I think a part of me always knew that they were kind of giving friends instead of like lovers. And obviously Changjin was clearly into Yujeong. He like never didn't choose Yujeong, so it was pretty obvious where his heart was at. And yeah, so especially for season 3, the only couple that does not want each other back is Juwon and Kwangtae, because obviously Haewon and Hwihyun didn't end up together. Yeah, Haewon struggled to move on, and Hwihyun eventually ended up choosing her. So yeah, I want more couples that are completely like, no, we don't want each other back. And I also just want some new couples formed, because after 3 seasons, the only couple that is newly formed that actually dated post-show is going to be Haeun and Hyungyu. And it makes sense why they're everyone's favorite, because they're like, what are the odds? Like, what are the odds that this guy comes onto the show really last minute and he just manages to win your heart, you know? Like, you've been moping around the entire show because you want your ex back, and then there he is, Mr. Perfect. And yeah, moving on, and they're actually still dating and in a happy relationship. So, you know, straight out of a fairy tale. She's like an influencer, so they still have like their stuff online. They're very low key. I think Hyungyu is actually going on a reality TV show or something soon, but yeah. So that is kind of everything you need to know in a very, very fast summary. Yeah, I'm so excited to be watching this. You are so welcome to join my Discord and we can talk about the show as it airs. But that is all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.